And part of the reason a reasonable person should have known that violence was a likely outcome of the president's actions on January 6th is because as the president made this case over a period of months, violence and armed confrontation by the president's supporters had already happened, had already been the consequence of his statements about the election, even before January 6th. And President Trump knew that. He knew that this line of argument to his supporters had led to violence already. Rationally, it could therefore be counted on to lead to violence again. It would lead to more violence if he upped the stakes in making this argument to his followers, particularly if he directed them all to react to his comments and physically be in the same place at the U.S. Capitol while he continued to incite them in this way. I mean, that's the case that they made today, that the violence on January 6th was foreseeable, and therefore that incitement charge should stick, because he knew the violence that would ensue.
On November 5th, he tweeted in all capital letters, as if shouting commands, quote, "Stop the count, stop the fraud." The same day as those tweets, around 100 Trump supporters showed up in front of the Maricopa County Election Center in Phoenix, some of them carrying rifles, literally trying to intimidate officials to stop the count, just as President Trump had commanded. This was dangerous, it was scary, and it was a blatant act of political intimidation. In Philadelphia, that same day, police investigated an alleged plot to attack the city's Pennsylvania Convention Center, where votes were being counted. Police took at least one man into custody who was carrying a weapon. And this happened all over, in Atlanta, in Detroit, and in Milwaukee. His supporters used armed force to try to disrupt lawful counting of votes because they bought into Trump's big lie that the election was stolen from them. President Trump's months of inflaming and inciting his supporters had worked. They believed it was their duty to quite literally fight to stop the count, so they showed up at election centers across the country to do just that.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
They ain't taking it from us.
We were winning in all the key locations by a lot, actually. And then our numbers started miraculously getting whittled away in secret.
They will be hiding. They will pay. They will be destroyed because America is rising.
And there it is. They had bought into his big lie.
This was about foreseeability, the foreseeability of the violence on January 6th. The House impeachment managers today went back before the election to show that the president knew, everybody knew, because it happened in public, we all knew and he knew, that violence on January 6th in D.C. was foreseeable. They used all these previous incidents of violence by the president's supporters related to the election to give weight to the contention that he knew exactly what he was getting into on January 6th, that his previous experience with his supporters reacting violently, seeking out violent, at times armed confrontation in response to the president's words, that shows that any reasonable person, and indeed President Donald J. Trump, on January 6th could have foreseen that his words and actions that day would lead to violence on that day. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.